This keeps getting better as Davante Adams has highlighted the New York Jets as the premier team that he wants to get traded to in a massive trade update for Davante, where he's also highlighted the New Orleans Saints as a team that he would like to play for, and we're going to break it down. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and we're going to jump right into the video as we always do because news came out today amidst the trade rumors. Basically, the confirmed fact that Davante Adams is going to get traded as he has requested a trade from the Raiders, that he does, in fact, unsurprising, he does want to go to the New York Jets. Now, this was reported to us by Adam Schefter, and he had this to say on it. Obviously, nothing too major, just two NFL teams high on Davante Adams' wish list of places to land if he's traded. If not, at the very top are the New York Jets and the New Orleans Saints. And the team that did have the second best odds to trade for Davante Adams, the Kansas City Chiefs, it's been confirmed by Schefter that there are also other teams interested in trading for Adams, but despite any speculation, the Kansas City Chiefs are not expected to be an option, even though they are in the wide receiver market. Now, Matt, obviously, Davante is someone who any team that has interest in a wide receiver is going to explore trading for. He's, as of right now, still one of the best receivers in football who's struggling on a team that is honestly, I don't know how they're 2-2 because they're a train wreck right now. Things are not going well for the Raiders. It's probably going to take a few years for things to really turn around. Obvious questions on if Antonio Pierce is the guy you want running the team. They have some good stuff going for them, but clearly Adams understands he'll never win there. He does not have a Super Bowl, so he does want to win one. The Jets are in a short window contending right now, trying to make the best team possible. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers' teammate. It feels like fate.
Yeah, Chris, it does feel like fate. Ever since Davante Adams rumors have started, the Jets have been the overwhelming favorite to land Davante Adams. Now, looking at the two teams they're talking about right now, the New York Jets and the New Orleans Saints, the Saints are another team that Adams wants to go to because if you remember back in 2022 when he was traded to the Raiders, he wanted to go to the Raiders because his buddy from college from Fresno State, Derek Carr, was playing quarterback in, was it Oakland at the time or was it Las Vegas?
I want to say it was their first year in Vegas.
I want to say you were right. So it was Vegas, and he wanted to play with his buddy, and they had great chemistry for that 1 year. But at the end of the year, the Raiders wanted to bench Carr, and they decided to move in a different direction. And they started moving down ever since they got rid of Derek Carr, and they have not turned it up yet. But that's neither here nor there. What's important is the Jets are the favorite to land Davante Adams, a player who has ridiculous amounts of built-in chemistry with our quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. He's going to come in. He knows how Aaron Rodgers wants to. He wants to run the offense. He knows that he needs to stay fluid on his routes. He's going to start his route, and if there's a spot open in the zone, he knows, Davante that is, knows that he needs to attack that open space because Aaron Rodgers is going to be trying to attack that open space. Right now, in our last game against the Denver Broncos, Aaron Rodgers kept trying to throw the ball to open space, but the wide receivers were not adjusting their routes accordingly to the defense. So he was just throwing incomplete passes. But with Davante Adams, this is all going to turn around. We can see how important it is to have a connection with Aaron Rodgers because if you look at Allen Lazard, of course, we like Allen Lazard. We were excited to sign him even if Aaron Rodgers didn't come to the Jets. But he isn't anything special. But Aaron Rodgers has him looking like a special player. So imagine that level of chemistry, but the level of talent that Davante Adams is, that could be huge for the Jets. It's very exciting. Right now, we are rolling into a week 2-2. We're going into week 5 versus the Minnesota Vikings. They're 4-0 right now. It's going to be scary. The offense has been struggling. If the Jets lose this game, I'm sure it will only make them more desperate and more willing to send more trade capital to the Las Vegas Raiders to pick up star wide receiver Davante Adams.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. And just taking a look at everything that we've seen so far, as we all know, he has officially said that he prefers to be traded, which is essentially just a fancy way to say a trade request. And the Antonio Pierce stuff on top of that is just another layer of Davante's gone. He is gone from the Raiders. It is impossible to imagine that Davante Adams is going to stick around. Exactly how it's impossible to imagine that you guys have still not gotten over 4.5K to subscribe to the channel. Just had to throw that in. Realized I forgot it. But looking at these odds, things are going to shift now. We know that the Chiefs are out. We know that the Saints are a team Davante wants to go to. Now, obviously, Davante Adams does not hold all the cards. He's under contract for multiple years. It's not like he could use that much pull to decide where he is going to go. But the Jets being overwhelming favorites as it is, whether Davante specifically highlighted them or not, you know he would want to play with Aaron Rodgers, and you know Aaron Rodgers has been wanting to team back up with Adams ever since he got to the Jets, since the Jets have let Aaron Rodgers, now less so this year, but they've let Aaron Rodgers more or less make a lot of front office decisions. Now, in July of 2023 at a golf outing, Aaron Rodgers said the phrase, "I love Davante Adams. I can't wait to play with him again." Aaron Rodgers, ever since getting to the Jets, has certainly understood the importance of trying to bring his buddy Davante onto the team, especially when the Jets offense could use a little kick in the butt, considering how good their defense did look against the Broncos and then also just falling apart offensively that game. Now, it's not fully on Aaron Rodgers. It's on the team as a whole. As we talked about back right after the game, the offensive line was not good. The receivers weren't good. Passes were being dropped. Davante's not going to drop passes. He's going to run the routes perfectly. He's going to understand exactly what Aaron Rodgers needs from him. It's going to open up the offense more. I honestly think it's going to open up Garrett Wilson a lot more because he's not going to be the number one focus, and that's going to have help. Mike Williams has looked very good. Aaron Rodgers likes targeting him. Having Allen Lazard still, as long as they keep him around, which I would imagine they would, because as we talked about on last video, which you guys should go check out, most likely the Jets are going to need the Raiders to take on some of that salary, and they will be willing to offer some picks to do it. As the Jets do want to keep open some cap flexibility, it would be really hard to get this trade done if the Raiders weren't taking on any of the salary of Davante Adams. And the Jets being a win-now team, they're going to be willing to move these picks in order for the Raiders to eat some money. The Raiders don't have too much cap space available. It's a little over $3 million. So looking at them, they obviously won't be able to take on so much salary. But again, when you're taking out all of Davante's contract, they're going to be able to eat some of it and get more draft capital for a team that desperately needs a rebuild. And I just feel like this is a perfect storm for the Jets to go out there and get him. You're a team that wants to rebuild. You have a 31-year-old wide receiver who is exactly what the Jets need, an excellent route runner, pass catcher, and former teammate of your franchise quarterback for right now. It's fair to call him a franchise quarterback at the moment. Like, he's got a year left, maybe two. Not that just this year. I mean, like a year after this one, and then probably another one after that, I would guess, unless they win the Super Bowl, obviously. But looking at all this, it feels like a perfect storm for the Jets. It feels like, yes, they probably should land him. The Saints, I mean, Matt, do you see them as a threat?
The Saints as a threat to land Davante Adams?
Yes.
Yes, they of course are a threat, but we have to remember the Saints are pressed up against the salary cap. They're paying Alvin Kamara, a running back, a ton of money, and they have made a lot of decisions over the last 2 years based on the fact that they're pressed up against the salary cap. They have a very talented wide receiver, Chris Olave. They also have an up-and-coming wide receiver, Rashid Shaheed, and they've scored a ton of points in the NFL through 4 weeks. So I don't see them being as aggressive as the New York Jets. Now, they're also a team that is looking like they're going to be competitors this season because they're playing in an easier division. The NFC South, it only has the Falcons and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 3-1, but Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, how far are they going to go? Todd Bowles is the head coach. How far are they really going to make it? So the thing is, the Saints feel like they can compete now, and I'm sure they would feel more like they can compete with Davante Adams. But the reason why the Jets are going to throw more draft capital at the Raiders are because the Jets feel like they need Davante. The Saints want Davante. The Jets need Davante Adams. The salary, at the end of the day, it is important, and we want the Raiders to take a chunk of it. But what's important is getting the guy in the building. We need offensive help. Unfortunate as that is to say, with Aaron Rodgers, through 4 weeks, we haven't had the offense that many Jets fans were expecting us to have. But Aaron Rodgers could definitely come in and change all of that. So the Raiders are looking for a second-round pick right now. If the Jets are willing to throw in extra draft capital, right now it's time for the Jets to go all in. So I would expect the trade to look something like they're going to send their 2025 second-round pick, their 2025 fourth-round pick, and then the Raiders would then send them Davante Adams, a seventh-round pick, and then the Raiders would eat a couple $1 million in salary. That would give the Jets the flexibility to pick up someone else should they need to. And the Raiders aren't really doing anything with the salary cap because they're going to be drafting a lot of young players and rebuilding right now. So those younger players are going to come on rookie contracts, which are smaller than veteran contracts, of course. And they are not going to need the cap flexibility in the way that the Jets need it. So they're going to be excited to pick up draft picks in exchange for taking on extra salary.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine why they wouldn't. Obviously, this is a turn towards you're a team that's just going to be at the bottom for a little bit. The Raiders, I mean, the Derek Carr era was just up and down and mostly down, but kind of just interesting to say the least. And now looking at Davante Adams, it's not that shocking that it didn't last very long. Like, I'm honestly not that shocked that Davante wasn't on the Raiders for another second half of his career the way that he was with the Packers. The Jets seem like the team that are at least, they seem like they're going to land him. I mean, obviously other teams are going to go out there and want to get him, and we are going to do a video on that because there's multiple other teams interested in, but we are going to save that for another time, guys, so make sure you're subscribed. Also, go check out Nick's Digest in 2 days on Friday, because this is coming out Wednesday, October 2nd. On Friday, Matt and I will be doing a live stream from Nick's Digest at 6 p.m. We're going to break down a ton of Knicks stuff, and you have to imagine at some point it's going to veer off into Jets talk for a bit. Make sure you guys tune in. Have a great day, and go Jets.